The Stoic problem. And this problem isn't really prevalent in real Stoicism, like the old text, but since everyone is addicted to their fucking phones and gets their information from TikTok, I'm going to be talking about the problem that version of Stoicism has. And that problem is that the Stoic philosophy that many people become accustomed to is a level of indifference where it's just completely accepting your condition and not really changing much, because if you actually become indifferent to the condition you're in, you remove the ability for yourself to change, to progress, to overcome. And that's missing. You're missing the catalyst, the fuel. Because if you actually accept your circumstances, since most likely they're not going to be perfect, it'd be very unlikely for them to be perfectly ideal. If that was, you wouldn't be even on this platform to begin with. But since you are, this pertains to you. And since you're in this niche, it almost definitely more pertains to you. Even in lifting, if you become okay with the way you are, with the circumstance you're in, you're fucked. You can't change anymore. You can't improve. And this isn't just for lifting. This is for the entirety of your life. If you accept the pain that you have, you accept the things that you have, it's just another suffering of life, then you can't improve. You need to feel that level of existential dread that you're not okay. You need to feel that. And instead of just taking that like a coward, you have to feel that and desire change. You have to desire change with everything inside of you. That is something that is very, very missing in people these days, and is actually worsened by modern day quote-unquote stoicism. It's not actual stoicism, because the true stoics among us wouldn't even advocate for that. But those short 60-second slideshows on TikTok about becoming indifferent or just completely removing that emotion from yourself, it's not good. And maybe the best emotion for you to feel isn't content. Maybe that's not what you should feel, because chasing that surface level pleasure, that surface level joy of just being okay with your situation and your surroundings isn't true happiness. It's not the highest level of the emotional ladder, right? There's different levels to this shit, and that's a lower level pleasure. It's not as bad as true hedonism at the bottom, where you're just self-obsessed and jerking off all day. It's not as bad as that, but it's pretty damn close to that. The joy you get from actually achieving something is so much greater. It's so far beyond that acceptance of your circumstances and your surroundings. So maybe you should feel upset. Maybe the best emotion for you to feel as a quote-unquote stoic isn't this contentment. Maybe it's a degree of anger. Maybe it's a degree of upset. Maybe because that's what you need to have the drive and motivation to actually change your life. Now, motivation, people say, oh, motivation's crap, but wouldn't it be better to be fucking motivated? And the TikTok stoics, they basically kill your motivation, because it basically teaches you to be okay with the way you are. And that's not what you should do as a man. It's not what you should do as a person. It's not what you should do as someone who breathes air and takes calories from this fucking planet. You should have to feel a way that's accustomed to your circumstances. And these are the circumstances that you desire. If this does not fit in with your own purpose and passion, you should have that urge, that pain, that desire to change that within you. You shouldn't just be okay. You shouldn't. You should strive for something better, no matter where you are. Now, maybe that ladder never ends, but maybe that's the point. Maybe that suffering of change is what we need to grow, to actually feel like we accomplished something. You can even think about this on an evolutionary level. Why would that drive be efficient? Because that's what would create civilizations. That's what put the buildings in the air. That's what led to the modern world that you live in, to everything you partake in. This can even be, for example, the gym. A passion that me and probably you have if you're watching this video, and especially this far in. Progressive overload. The first thing that you learn as a beginner is to just focus on adding a rep, or adding a set, or adding a amount of weight on the bar each week, or each session, or once you get a little more progressive, it takes a little longer. But the same thing. Just to push it more. That can be applied to everything. And that is a problem that people have, because becoming indifferent kills you. You have to care. You have to actually care. You can't just not care, right? And I've fallen into the trap before in the gym, in life, where if something is affecting me, I can basically turn off that feeling, because you do actually have a feeling as a man to change your emotional state. And maybe, just maybe, you should have the self-awareness and the intelligence to understand if the emotion you're feeling can benefit you or destroy you. Because maybe that negative emotion shouldn't be turned off. Maybe you need to keep it there to become what you should be, who you truly need to be, and something that you can actually be proud of, something that you can actually be okay with, something that 10 years from now, instead of being disgusted at yourself being in the same position, that you could actually look back and be like, wow, I did it. Because if you don't have that negative catalyst, there's no way to achieve it. There's no way to get there. Think about that. You can't get there without an insurmountable drive, a feeling that very few people even ever feel in their life. That's what you need to actually accomplish your goals. And if you have little goals, if you don't have any goals, and you're just going from place to place, maybe your biggest problem is your lack of problems. Maybe you need to fucking create problems. Maybe you need to start doing more things. There's a lot of ways we can look at this. And this is just a short thing I thought of touching on. I don't even know if this is going to be the content style for the rest of the channel. I just felt like I needed to talk about this because it was on my mind. Honestly, the videos are probably more lifting based and probably more stuff in that, but I needed to, convey to the 4 people that are going to watch this video about stoicism. So, that was me. Like if you want to like, subscribe if you want to like. Actually, fuck you, you're going to like because it's a good video. And